I was in the market for a new generator and did some research. I looked at a couple of YouTube videos and came to the conclusion that I'd buy this little Westinghouse. It's a iGen 4500 dual fuel, or DF, and it runs on both gas and propane. I thought I'd give that a try. Sounded pretty cool. Also talked to my brother. He bought one last year, I think it was, and he used it during some power outages he had, and it worked real well. In some of the videos, the major complaints on this was there was a wire connector for the automatic choke that would fall off during transport, and they would just fall off and the motor wouldn't start. So they had some, I guess Westinghouse themselves fixed the problem, and there are several videos that show how to do it yourself. So if you have that problem, there's plenty of videos out there. I did have this side panel off, and they did do the fix at the factory, and all it is a piece of, it's a little cable tie and looks like a little putty to hold the connector together. And it's right in this area back here. You'd have to pull all these screws off on the side, pull the panel off, and you can get to that if you have that problem. The other problem was the oil change. It was a real bugger to get to, and figured I'd show you what I did to make it a little easier. So as you can tell, if you own one of these, this is not factory. This little plug here, at least it's not factory in this position. And what I ended up doing was I just sort of lined up a direct shot at the drain plug that's inside here, and I drilled a 1-inch hole. Then I moved this plug, which is normally inside this compartment here. I just moved it, drilled a 5/16 hole here, 1-inch hole here. Figured I'd show you the drill bit I used. It's just a Harbor Freight step bit. I think this is 1.5 inches overall. And I just marked the 1-inch part of the bit, and I just drilled it in until it got to that point. That was about it. And then this hole for that one was just a 5/16 drill bit. I did sort of feel in behind it. There's a couple ribs you want to sort of miss, so you want to feel the back side of that so you don't run into those ribs. And I just, to take it out, I lubed up this part of it with some Vaseline. Took a little straight slot screwdriver and pushed it back out through the hole and just reversed the process. Lubed it up with some Vaseline. Took a little straight slot screwdriver, sort of got it started, pushing it in the hole. And then I was able to pull the back side of it into the hole. And plug fits pretty good, and it looks pretty factory. I'm going to do an oil change here. I ran it about 1.5 hours during the first warm-up session or break-in session. And so you can see there's a little bolt there, 10mm bolt, and then there's a threaded extension that comes off that bottom engine plate or motor plate. So I just sort of eyeballed it and drilled the hole where I can stick my socket in there, get it on the head of the bolt, and take that nut off. And instead of having it just drain into this little reservoir that they have down here, in fact, this little plastic plug is installed by the factory. There's a little extra hole here for this portion of it, and then there's the 1-inch hole down the bottom. I don't know if you can see that or not. And you're supposed to just drain all your oil down out through that pan into a catch basin or tub or something. And that just seems real messy. So I figured I'd give this a try. And what I got is just you can use any type of hose. I just had an old 5/8 diameter garden hose. Slid that in there. And you sort of wiggle it on, twist it. And I think that'll be on there good enough. And then for catching the oil, I'll just use a milk jug or any kind of container. I'll put this inside there. Have a little cap on it. Like I said, this is just an old garden hose. So I'll let that drain in there. And there's only about a little more than half a quart, so that should overfill this gallon milk jug. But I just think that'll be a little easier. So I'll give it a try. Like I said, this will be the first oil change on it. See if it's a fail or if it's a little better idea. So I just tilted it and threw a couple 2x4s, one flat, one vertical. Probably a 2x6 would work better. Just to tilt it up enough to get it to where the oil isn't draining out. That threaded extension behind that 10mm bolt, I'm not really sure what it's for, but you've got to, if I can get the light out of the way, you've got to get a wrench on that. And so as you loosen that 10 millimeter, that'll rotate that to where you can get a 14 millimeter wrench on the extension, and then that'll keep it from spinning out with the bolt. Once you get the bolt out, you just push that hose on and twist it to the right, and that'll tighten it up, and it should work. We'll find out here real quick. Like I was saying, you just get your 10 millimeter. I have an extension, but you can use any type of 10 millimeter socket, and the bolt is loose on its own. So if that threaded extension did move, in fact, I could probably get it tight where it will. Yeah. Just put your 14 mil on it as it rotates. Then hold that steady as you move the bolt. And you don't need to get it very loose. Just get it back snugged up to where that extension stays where you want it. Take this bolt off. Probably should have had a rag in there. I think I'll put one in. See how much oil comes out when I get the bolt off. Not too bad. Slide the hose on it, twist it. Put this on. Now we'll lower the generator back. We'll see if it drains out. I'll open the drain plug up. That's about it. Let it drain out. I think it's got plenty of air in it. I did tilt it up on the other side to give it a little more flow. Yeah, you would think Westinghouse could have come up with a little better idea. Other manufacturers got, Champion in particular, they got a nice drain hose that you can just pull out and do the cap. Makes it super easy. This is just a mess waiting to happen. So we'll let it drain and see how it is going back in. Well, it's been about an hour. Went and had some lunch, came back out, and I'm saying that's probably 2/3 of a quart. I think it worked pretty good. Go ahead and get the hose off the drain plug and get that button back up and get some oil in it. But yeah, I think it worked very well. A lot better than draining 2/3 of a quart inside the compartment of the generator. This hose has a natural bend in it, so it makes it sort of easy. And we'll see how much oil, if any, drained into there. I'd say nothing. It worked real well. So yeah, I think Westinghouse could do a little better job as far as making this easier for the owners to do the little maintenance on it instead of having to come up with their own idea like this. I mean, like I said, other manufacturers, Champion in particular, doesn't have any problem supplying a hose to do this process. Don't need it very tight. And get ready to throw some more oil in it, but I think that was pretty easy. Put the cover on it. Put the plug in it that they already supplied. I mean, it wouldn't be very hard for them to re-engineer that. I think that's a lot easier and definitely cleaner. So, I don't know. What do you guys think? Is it worth it? I think it was. But yeah, I'll let you know later on after I get some hours on it. Like I said, I only have about an hour on it. We'll see how it runs, how it performs, how it does produce and power in both propane and gas, and I'll do a follow-up. Thanks for hanging out.